class where we are going to talk about Rabindranath Tagore's What is Art? Now, these are the basic things that are to be kept in mind while understanding what Rabindranath Tagore wants to talk about the art of life, or maybe the question as to what is art. At the physical level, the food, clothing, shelter, money are required for the individual. At the mental level, thinking, data, information, knowledge, wisdom is what is required. At the spiritual level, we see it, we feel it, we experience the emotions. This is what I am. And science cannot explain this. World is turned inside out in science. Science enables us to look into the outside world. We need to turn outside in order to understand what art is. This is what exactly Sir Abraham Maslow also talks about. First is the physiological needs that man requires: food, sleep, sex, and shelter. And then we require the safety needs: security of the body, employment, health, property, money, gives us safety. And then we go to the belonging or relationships: love, affection, family, friendship, sexual intimacy is the third level. Then we reach the fourth level, which is the self-esteem, achievement, confidence, position in a group, status, your career, your position in the office. All this will give you self-esteem. Once all these are fulfilled, you go to the self-actualization of understanding what you are actually from within. This is to achieve the individual potential, and this is this last self-actualization to which very little percentage of people go into. That is what Abraham Maslow also talks about, the hierarchy of needs. So for physiological level, the basic level, it is breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion, which are important. And we remain in that. So 40% of people remain here itself: food, water, and um, house. The next comes the safety. The safety level is then you start accumulating. You make a house, you build up your bank balance, you accumulate things. So security of body, and then employment, and then resources, morality, family, health, property come the next. Once this is fixed, then you go to the third level of love and belonging to maintain relationships. So friendship, family, sexual intimacy will become the third. Once you achieve this, then your self-esteem becomes important. It is your self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others, which matter you a lot. Once this level also is achieved, then you go to the morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of fact, which lead you towards self-actualization. Actually, Abraham Maslow stops here with morality and creativity, but the next is self-realization. Self-actualization should lead to self-realization. And Tagore talks about self-realization also, with the help of which we have understood in the previous slides. And all this is reflected in your creative process of art making, is what Tagore talks about. So, in this modern age, we have much data available. Now, this data is to be processed so that it becomes a sort of information, which is the next level. Once the information is obtained, you become knowledgeable person. You know it. You know the data and you know the information also. But the knowledge is not sufficient. This knowledge, 90% of people nowadays have data. 100% data is available. Information, 90%. Knowledge, 80%. But only a few percent will become wise. We need to go from knowledge to wisdom, which is the application of knowledge in the social world. And then you tend to ask a question: who am I? Am I really this body? Am I really this mind? Remember, we talked about all these things. The moment you start talking about who am I, you are moving towards self-realization. Abraham Maslow's last stage. Why am I here is the next question. And then you try to find out your life purpose, and self-actualization you tend to go into. So you tend to work not for you, but for your society, but for your country, but for your people. And then the third question is, what is my relationship with the world around me? What is the cosmic purpose? Then you tend to align yourself with the entire society, nation, not only this physical world, but also the cosmic world. So you tend to align with everything and tend to experience oneness with all. This is what we call as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. In the ancient days, the scholars used to do a number of yagyas and yagas not to get the personal benefits, but in order to get the universal benefit. The universe should get benefit out of it, not the individual. From the individual level of, the first level, you have gone to the sixth and beyond, the seventh also, self-realization also, whereupon you become aligned with oneness with all. A poet is such like seer, Rabindranath Tagore says, which can align or who can align with everyone. And whatever his alignment is, whatever his connection is represented in the art. So very beautifully, he has said what art is. Because we always function in four different styles. One is with body, the other is with mind, then with heart, and then with soul. If you're completely functioning with body, the body can be brought into balance with a disciplined way of life. When to get up, what to do after that, how to complete your chores properly in a systematic way, and also relax. So body can be brought into activity through discipline. Mind can be brought into the balance with a noble vision. Instead of haphazardly thinking, maybe negatively and sometimes positively or sometimes in a hybrid way, the noble vision will give you a proper channel to think and keep your mind balanced. The heart can be balanced with passion, love, and affection. And the soul can be by connecting the soul to the conscience or the higher levels. And that's why and that is when, once your body is balanced through discipline, your mind is balanced through noble vision, your heart is balanced through passion, your soul automatically is connected to the conscience, and then you tend to create. Here is a small example. You could see Taj Mahal on the screen, right? There are thousands of people who worked to build Taj Mahal. When once these workers were asked as to what are you doing, because every worker was busy chiseling and crafting the marble and trying to make some part of Taj Mahal. Everybody, almost all the workers almost said, I'm doing work. I'm working with rock. I'm shaping the rock, and so on and so forth. But one of them said that I'm building the Taj. So you should know what exactly you are doing, and this vision of what he is knowing, what he has understood, and what he is expressing is done by an artist. And then you become very creative and you can connect your balanced body, mind, heart, soul to almost everybody. That is what a poet does. And because then he becomes a whole person, because he is connected already to the cosmos, he is already connected to the conscience. This connection is very well represented through his writing, where even the audience or the reader also get connected. If you look at this picture, you could find matter in the extreme bottom. That is rocks. So rocks are made of matter. That's fine. And so they are formless. From formless force field, elements and compounds have emerged. Matter is emerged. The next step is life. As you could see, within the framework of matter, life has emerged, giving rise to the innumerable forms. You could find hundreds and thousands of plants, and later hundreds and thousands of animals also. Thousands of species are there, and multitudes of each species you can observe. Innumerable forms have been given up. From the matter, life is arisen. That's the next step. The third step after this is that mind is developed. Within the framework of human body, mind has emerged through brain and the central nervous system. Now it took a long time from matter to evolve to life and life to evolve into mind, right? Now if you observe this, it's again matter and is something physical, right? And then you have the animals and plants, which are also made up of matter, but they are vital because they breathe and, they are living. They can move, they can reproduce, and so on and so forth. A stone cannot because it is physical, but a plant can because it is vital. An animal can because it is vital, though it is made up of matter. This has given rise to the brain, which is mind, which is also made up of matter, and all these are The Indian term for this is Prakriti, the physical, the vital, the mental, with the help of which from a moving, motionless stone to the moving animals, to the living plants and the human beings is all made because of Prakriti. And then in this Prakriti, the life will be active, it becomes vital, it becomes active only when Purusha is added. And that is the reason why the light becomes the Purusha, which becomes the soul. And that becomes spiritual. As long as we are realizing ourselves as matter and mental, we are still at the Prakriti level. And science stops here. All the subjects of science stop here. Because there is no connection as yet being made by science to realize this soul or to light and become spiritual. Whereas the Indian poets, Indian saints, Indian seers have seen a perfect combination of Purusha and Prakriti, soul and matter, which we had made the physical, vital, mental things into spiritual. And so you have the gross body at the physical level, vital level, mental level, and then the moment you become spiritual, it becomes subtle body. So from the gross body to the subtle body that we discussed, remember, is been observed very well. Let us talk a little about Prakriti and Purusha. These are the two things which actually become one, because when we talk about the Advaita, Purusha and Prakriti also become one. There is only one consciousness, that's it. From this consciousness, which was stable, a little motion has come into existence, which became Prakriti. So Prakriti is nothing but Purusha, which is moving, and Purusha is nothing but Prakriti, which is stable. So 100% you have the Sattva Guna, it becomes Purusha. You have Rajo and Tamo Gunas also being developed, it becomes Prakriti, right? So Purusha is eternal, uncreated, does not create, passive, absolute, infinite, neither the cause nor the effect, consciousness, indestructible, pure, like Sadashiva. While Prakriti is eternal, uncreated, creates dynamic, absolute, infinite, cause effect is observed there, matter and energy is produced, indestructible, impure, and that becomes Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti are responsible for creation. Purusha is Shiva, Shakti is the creative power of Shiva. These two together, the creation starts. The gunas are. This is very beautifully exemplified in this slide, where Purusha and Prakriti are the avyakta forms. Avyakta is they cannot be seen. Now, once Purusha becomes Prakriti and Prakriti onwards, Mahat has been created. Obviously, you could find the Sattva, Raja, and Tamo Guna that we discussed produced. From Sattva, Raja, Tamo Guna, you have the Panchabhutas produced. From the Panchabhutas, you have the Tridoshas produced, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and then the creation begins, whether it is plant life, animal life, or human beings. Now, when we start observing this growth, what is this picture? The picture is pupa evolving, transforming rather. I will not say use the word evolving, transforming into butterfly. As long as it is in the pupa, it is good and useful, but not enough. There is a longitudinal growth, right? But once you come down to this level, it is a transformation that you could observe, that it can become very colorful, very beautiful. A very ugly, rather not so very beautiful pupa transforms itself into a beautiful butterfly. It breaks open and it flies. So the consciousness of the individual is elated. This is matter. As long as we are with the matter, you could find only the horizontal growth, highly objective, quantity wise. You can be more. But the moment you go down to the consciousness level, it becomes the vertical growth. It is subjective, and the quality is what matters, not the quantity. It is to this that art goes. With this background, let us try to understand the world of science and art as it exists. The slide has an expression: there is no art to science and a science in art. There is an art to science and a science and art. The two are not enemies, but different aspects of the whole. This is what we should understand at the beginning itself. There is an art to science and a science in art. The two are not enemies, but different aspects of the whole. This is what we have to understand when we are learning any subject. So science and humanities are not exactly opposite to each other, but they're complementing different aspects, different way of looking at the same thing. Science describes the outer world of force, the outer wonders of the world, physical, chemical, biological, mathematical laws of universe are being observed by science, whereas art explores the inner world of emotions. Its mystery is endless, and here I am, I exist. This is one way of finding out your own self in the panchakoshas that you have, in the tridoshas that you have, in the panchamahabhutas that you have, in the four states of existence that we are into. We try to identify who am I, which is the most important question that art answers in a very aesthetically appealing way. From the inside world, we understand the outside world because art believes whatever is there outside is also there inside. It's impossible for us to look into the outer world to understand inner world. So it's better to go into the inner world to understand the outer world. Science does it by observing the outer world, whereas art does it by observing the inner world. Self to Supreme Self, Anda to Brahmanda, Anu to Parabrahma. So it is from me to others. At least I can understand myself, whether I understand the outside world or not, whether I have seen the outside world or not, I don't know. But at least I should try to understand myself. And art and philosophy, spiritualism try to understand your own self first, because whatever is there within me is there in the cosmos as well. In the subsoil of consciousness, the things of life are nourished in art. We have something talk like left brain and right brain. Left brain is always rational. It is analytical. It is scientific, and science and scientific thinking originates from the left side of the brain because it talks about order, rational, objective, symbolic, related to maths and science, analytical, digital, and detail. Whereas the right side of the brain is emotional, imaginative, and creative. So artists think from the right brain, scientists think from the left brain. Because the right brain is associated with art, imagination, memory, creativity, music, emotion, instinct, and the big picture of this cosmos. They are not two different things. They belong to our own brain. So, left, which represents science, right, which represents art, belong to us. They give us different perspectives at looking at the same thing. The left brain enables us to look at the outside world to understand the inside. And the right brain enables us to look at the inside world of the individual to understand the bigger picture of life. Both are, that's the reason why, different aspects of the whole. In today's age, which is completely intellectual, the world is turned inside out. Our very process of living is exterior, mechanical, and unconscious. We bring everything under the scrutiny of knowledge, reason, and intellect. Remember, intellect is a very sharp knife. Carefully it should be handled, otherwise, it cuts and kills us. In the hands of the unstable person, it cuts and hurts. We cannot stitch with a knife. It spoils, tears, and ruins the life. To know is to kill our object and make it a museum of specimen. In this context, now let us try to understand what Tagore says as to art is. It is always the human being versus the great world that we try to understand through art. If you look at the body, it satisfies the physical needs like eating, drinking, clothing, and shelter. If you look at the mind, mind is for thinking, reasoning, finding facts, and multiplicity of life. In this context, if you understand the personal man, that concerns with likes and dislikes, wants and wishes, emotions of happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, disgust, about the needs of body and mind, about the expedient of usefulness, personal relation to the greater outer world is also important. But the Western definition of art is a conscious purpose of discussion into a region with both our faculties of creation and enjoyment have been spontaneous and half conscious. They aim at supplying very definite standards by which to guide our judgment of art production. Hence, we have judges in the modern age giving verdict to dethrone the immortals whose supremacy has been unchanged for centuries. All this criticism, all these theories, critical theories, are all Western by origin. And West in general try to dominate nature, keep everything in its hand, and try to see nature from top. Hope you have enjoyed doing Rabindranath Tagore's What is Art with me. His philosophy of life, his spiritualism, his understanding of what art is from the Oriental perspective is really worth appreciating. That's all from me today. See you in the next class. Bye for now. Namaskaram.